What's up, guys? Welcome back to Reptile. Today, this is your host, Natalie, co-host, Kevin, and
special guest,
Lamb Chop.
Hey guys, so today we're gonna do things a little bit differently. Today, this video is gonna be about the pros and cons of getting a pet Savannah monitor. How's that sound?
Good.
We aren't really gonna get too much into the actual care of a Savannah monitor because we already did a video on their care, which they can watch right here.
No, they can't.
But that was actually our very first episode, the care for the Savannah monitor.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, that was like the very first video.
The very first.
Yeah.
He's grown a lot more since that first video.
Yeah.
He's grown a lot more. Natalie and I have learned a lot more about his personality and everything, but he is doing awesome.
Yeah.
Natalie and I are making this video specifically because we want to start talking about the pros and cons of particular reptiles as pets. We feel that, especially with Savannah monitors, big time, is that there's a lot of either misinformation or people are just totally blown away of when they first buy a Savannah monitor and what it actually takes to care for a Savannah monitor. So we hope that this video gives you guys some information on whether you should or shouldn't get one and how to care for them. So let's start with some pros. What are some of the best things about him from you? What's your favorite things about him?
When you first get them, they're like that tiny.
Exactly right.
But now he's like that big.
He has grown a lot.
He's like that big now.
They grow quick, don't they?
Yeah, look.
And do you think it has been easy or difficult caring for him?
I think it's easy.
You think it's easy? Well, that's coming from her, and I mean, Natalie, this is one of the ways she makes me super proud, is she does everything for him. Cleans the cage, feeds him, changes his water. You are an awesome reptile owner.
Yeah.
You do awesome. Those are very good points. One of the biggest pros to me is that monitors are absolutely awesome. When it comes to like the closest thing to a dinosaur looking animal today, I think monitor lizards pull it off better than any other reptile, honestly.
And guys, he has to get way bigger than that.
He does.
Yeah, he has to get like that big.
But do you think this guy looks like a dinosaur?
Yes.
He is our little dinosaur, ain't he?
Yeah.
Little dinosaur. Pro number 2 is they have such a awesome and big personality, and they are seriously intelligent animals. I feel people don't give them credit enough for how intelligent they are, like smart they are. Because I mean, you guys can find a lot of videos online of them like actually playing, being target trained. There's even an episode of Clint's Reptiles where a guy was training I believe it was an Argus monitor to actually hunt. And he compared them to having the intelligence of like a bird of prey, which that is super cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
That makes them super fun to interact with, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like being able to handle them and hang out with them. It's a super awesome pet, isn't he?
Yeah.
Do you like him climbing around on you and playing with you?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, ain't it?
I like him like...
Climbs right up your shirt.
Yeah. And he's trying to climb on my back.
He tries to. Pro number 3 is...
It is poke my head.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Every Savannah monitor that I have ever dealt with has been super laid back and super docile. Most of the Savannah monitors that you'll see on like Facebook groups, it seems like the overwhelming majority of them are relatively docile, laid back animals. Now, that is absolutely not true for every single Savannah monitor. Each one has their own personality. They're gonna have a different temperament for each of them. But from our point of view, the overwhelming majority of them seem to be super docile animals.
Yeah.
Has he ever bit you?
No.
Nope. Has he ever hissed at you? Nope. He has been the perfect boy, hasn't he? For example, ball pythons. Ball pythons have a absolutely great reputation of being super docile, super handleable. However, you'll get those one-offs that are just a little extra spicy, right?
Yeah, and snapping...
Spicy noodles.
And snapping turtles and alligators are not nice.
They can be spicy.
Yeah.
But like I said, the overwhelming majority seem to be super laid back, which leads us into pro number 4. With their docile nature and incredible intelligence is they are very easy to tame down. We gave a lot of examples of how to do this in our lizard handling video, but with just how smart they are, they do catch on to taming pretty good. Like taming them down and socializing them.
Yeah.
Don't they? I mean, he's really come around, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Do you remember all the techniques that we did to tame him down? Like tongue feeding, handling him. And I mean, he's really been a good boy, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Super good boy. He can learn really quick, hasn't he? A lot quicker than that Nile monitor.
Yeah. And this guy's climbing up my dad's shop.
Where you going, buddy? On to pro number 5. Savannah monitors have a pretty basic diet. And why that's a plus is they don't need any like specialized foods or anything like that that are hard to find. They're insectivores. So insects that you can find at any really pet store that you go to. And that makes it easy when you can go to any pet store and get his food.
Yeah, and they can eat, well, these guys, if they're insectivores, they cannot eat pinkies.
Right, exactly right.
And
they eat like crickets, Dubai roaches, superworms, mealworms.
But guys, do not spill any of that.
Yeah, try not to spill the worms.
Yeah.
Or the roaches. And we had an accident with you not too long ago where we almost had a house infestation of Dubai roaches.
Yeah, but I keep the eye on every single one, but I don't see any more, do you?
Nope, none. Yeah. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
But this can be important to a lot of people, that they don't have to travel miles away to go find their special diet or to order stuff online constantly. You can pick it up at any pet store.
Yeah.
That makes it easy. Which that then leads into pro number 6. They are absolutely great eaters, which we've went over before how stressful it is as a pet owner to have a reptile that won't eat. That can be super stressful.
Yeah.
But this guy is a absolute beast at eating, isn't he?
And guys, you might think that it's funny from him like climbing.
But have you ever had an issue with this guy eating?
No.
Like not eating?
No.
He is like always hungry.
Yeah. Every time, if he sees one thing moving, he comes right out of his hiding spot and come eat that thing.
Yes, he does.
And if he even had a hole and he sees it moving,
he goes for it.
He's like...
But this is the case for most Savannah monitors. And if they're not eating, if they refuse to eat, that's usually a good sign of like parasites, something's wrong with them, or they're just super, super stressed out. Which, that's good in itself because they give you the signs.
Yeah.
But a healthy Savannah monitor will eat no problem. No problem at all. Pro number 7 is Savannah monitors are readily available. You can find a Savannah monitor at almost, I'd say every single reptile show we have ever been to, they were selling Savannah monitors, weren't they? Almost every single one of them. You can find them online, you can find them, we've never really seen them at the bigger chain pet stores, but I have seen people say they've got them from those bigger chain pet stores. We've never seen them at one of them, but I mean, you can find Savannah monitors literally anywhere that sells reptiles.
Yeah. But if they sell snakes, they have to sell Savannah monitors.
If they sell snakes, they gotta sell Savannah monitors. You are absolutely right.
And if you want a quirky ball that does all night. You don't really want that.
A parrot.
Yeah.
Now, although we put that in the pros of how readily available they are, we'll get more into that in the cons of Savannah monitors. On to pro number 8 is they are cheap. They are very cheap, but that is about the only thing cheap about them. At most reptile shows we've been to that we've seen them, you can buy a Savannah monitor between like 30 and 80 bucks. Again, we're gonna get more into this in the cons, but it makes a very tempting reptile, doesn't it?
Yeah. Wait.
Guess what I just thought of?
What?
Lamb chop, lamb. Lamb chop, lamb.
Yeah. I'm a new friend, and I'm named Lamb.
Oh, he likes his lamb buddy. And on to our final pro. For monitor lizards, they are on the smaller side of monitor lizards. They aren't an Ackie monitor, but they also aren't a Nile monitor, an Asian water monitor, crocodile monitor. They're on the relatively smaller size of monitor lizards, right?
Yeah.
Usually only getting between 2.5 and 4 feet, which that's still a big reptile. And this too, we will also get more into in the cons. So those are all the positives of the Savannah monitor. Ready to get into the unfortunate negatives?
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, let's jump right back into size with con number 1. As we said, Savannah monitors are not Asian water monitors, they're not Nile monitors or croc monitors, but they're a very large lizard. Very large lizard in general, aren't they?
Yeah.
But they're definitely not a gecko or a bearded dragon. They get much, much bigger.
Yeah. Way bigger than that.
Way bigger than that, you're absolutely right. But seeing one of these guys as like a gecko-sized baby, especially when they're first born, they are super small. For the unexpecting person that don't know much about them, they just see this tiny little lizard that's like the size of a leopard gecko. And they buy them totally unaware of how big this lizard gets. As we said, it's like 2.5 to 4 feet long. That's big.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's huge. As big as Lamb Chop is right now, he's still a baby. He's only a few months old. He is gonna get much, much bigger than that.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how small they are as babies and how much they double in size. Double, triple, quadruple. It's insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, insane.
And that leads into con number 2. This is not a reptile that you can keep in a 50, 75, 100 gallon tank. The bare minimum for a Savannah monitor is going to be something at least twice as long as their length. So you're looking at an 8-foot enclosure. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's a really big enclosure.
Yeah, really huge, big enclosure.
It is. And that giant enclosure is not going to be cheap. And that goes along with con number 3, is although they are cheap, that is where it ends. Nothing else about a Savannah monitor is cheap. Yeah. Nothing. They need a super large enclosure, expensive lighting, and they will eat you out of a house.
Yeah.
The initial setup isn't going to be thousands of dollars, but it's going to be a lot more than I think most people are ready for when buying them and they see them as just a tiny baby.
Yeah, and it's a tiny, tiny baby.
Tiny, tiny baby.
Yeah, tiny, tiny baby.
Con number 4 is the overwhelming majority of Savannah monitors on the market are wild caught. So although we mentioned that they are readily available and you can find them literally everywhere, that's not entirely a good thing.
Yeah, not entirely.
Not entirely. Although they can easily still be tamed down being wild caught, it makes it a bit more difficult. And also leads into con number 5. And probably one of the biggest cons is the lots and lots of health concerns with Savannah monitors.
And guys, he isn't a Savannah monitor anymore. He is a
chameleon.
A chameleon.
But a lot of these have to do with being wild caught. They usually come in dehydrated with parasites and all kinds of other issues. This, combined with being transported from all over the world, can cause a lot of stress and can lead to them passing away shortly after you just bought them.
Putting them to one home and then to another and then another and then another.
Exactly.
And then one more.
Change of climates as they go and everything like that.
Yeah, they can get pretty stressed out.
Very. Or, which can lead to the overall cost and expensiveness of Savannah monitors, a very expensive vet visit. Like if you gotta take them to the vet because of all those issues, that's not gonna be cheap either. And luckily, we haven't ran into anything like that with lamb chop. Which that's good. And on that note, con number 6. Despite what your local Petco may tell you, is Savannah monitors do need humidity. And if you're not familiar with keeping certain levels of humidity, like you've only had reptiles that don't need humidity, keeping those certain levels can be kind of difficult. We will get into this more in the next con, but respiratory infections can often be associated with humidity. But if you remember, it's not actually the humidity that will cause a respiratory infection, it's the bacteria that's being brought up with that humidity. Con number 7, cleanliness and maintenance. As we mentioned, bacteria can cause respiratory infections. So it is very important that you keep their enclosure clean.
Yeah, and if you don't ever clean their cage, they will die and...
That would just be mean.
Yeah.
As you know, he poops a lot.
Yeah.
And usually in his water bowl. So constantly changing that water out is something that you're gonna have to keep up with daily.
Yeah, but guys, do not be careful with your little kids. Tell your kid to be very careful and do not spill it.
Yeah, or accidentally drop the water bowl on them. But changing the water bowl, the substrate, cleaning up everything is something that you're gonna have to do on a daily and weekly basis. So definitely keep that in mind when getting a Savannah monitor. And you do an excellent job. You do all that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
You're a great reptile owner. Con number 8. As we mentioned, the lighting for Savannah monitors can get pretty expensive and they need very high heat. And the actual con here is that with high heats like that, Savannah monitors are very susceptible to being burned. When you see a lot of adult Savannah monitors in captivity, you'll notice this like scarring and almost blistering on their back. That's from the heat lamp of their basking area being too close on their back, and it will literally burn them.
Yeah.
And that is not good.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen.
No. Definitely do your research, and you need to, on most of those lighting things on the instructions, they'll tell you exactly how far that basking spot needs to be from the actual basking area.
Yeah.
Also check out some Facebook groups, Non-Judgmental Savannah Monitors, I think that's the name. But they have got some awesome people on there that are super helpful if you need information like that. Con number 9. Although they are very docile, they have a super high food drive. The moment he sees food, he goes for it, don't he?
Yeah.
A super high food drive.
Yeah. And if we like do this.
We went over this in our lizard handling video, but you really need to be able to separate handling time from feeding time, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe not on purpose, but this can lead to a accidental bite. Don't want an accidental bite.
Yeah, and if it was like on purpose and he was like...
I don't think he'd ever bite you on purpose, but if he thought that your fingers were super worms, you might get a chomp. Which leads into our last con, number 10. Although a bite from a Savannah monitor isn't going to be lethal, it can be pretty severe. Especially if you're talking like a younger child with a full-grown 4-foot Savannah monitor.
Yeah.
I mean, That would hurt. In our opinion, this is not a pet reptile that you get for a kid without supervision. A child should always be supervised when, even as a baby, interacting with a Savannah monitor, right?
Yeah.
Because a bite from this little guy right now isn't gonna hurt you too bad. Well, it'll hurt, but definitely not as much as when he's full grown. That will really hurt.
Yeah.
And though I don't think he would ever bite you on purpose, there's always the chance of being accidentally bit. So we are ending these pros and cons with more cons than pros, which we feel should say something. Savannah monitors are awesome. Awesome reptiles, but they just are not for everyone.
Yeah.
You have to have your limits. My own limit is like, the Nile monitor is the biggest reptile I would ever get. I want to never get like a croc monitor or something like that. You have to have a limit on things.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, a 4-foot lizard pushes over the limit.
He's napping on you.
Got his one eye open, side-eyeing us. Most people are just totally unprepared for them. Like we said, when you buy that tiny little baby, and as time goes on, they had no idea how big that lizard was going to get or how much work is involved with one.
Yeah.
Or just simply misinformed about Savannah monitors. These are just the wave tops that Natalie and I have gone over here today. Natalie and I hope that you guys really consider these points that we've made when determining if you should or shouldn't get a Savannah monitor. Or even at the very least, makes you want to start researching them more before getting one. That is a huge thing with the reptile hobby, is you need to research this reptile that you're going to be getting before actually getting it. Reptiles are not a impulse buy kind of animal. Alright guys, but that does it for the pros and cons of the Savannah monitor.
Yeah.
Natalie and I are going to do more of these videos on all kinds of different reptiles.
Yeah.
Just to throw out some information to you guys.
And guys, I'm going to do an unboxing video.
But let's tell everybody bye. If you like this video or just enjoyed hanging out with us, make sure to give us, what do you say?
A huge thumbs up.
A huge thumbs up, and consider subscribing for more of our videos.
Yeah.
Alright guys, we will see you on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Bye guys.